Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, my research focuses on breaking the walls of judicial insights, specifically focusing on its fundamental elements, that is, judicial independence and accountability in Fiji. This research is simply about how judges make decisions based on law and evidence, whilst at the same time required to give justifications. For example, imagine a judge who is politically affiliated. This is a violation of judicial independence. Now imagine a judge who is corrupt and faces no consequence. This is a violation of judicial accountability. These elements are essential to maintaining the rule of law and safeguarding democracy, so as to ensure that no one is above the law of any country. In Fiji, there hasn't been any study conducted to assess the legislative framework behind which the judiciary operates. Hence, there is a huge gap. The effectiveness of our judicial system cannot be understood, in theory, of course. This is the same for other developing Pacific Island nations as well. So, how will I do my research? I have conducted a comparative study using international standards such as those of the United Nations Basic Principles on the Independence of the Judiciary, alongside practices of well-established judicial systems such as those of England and Australia, provides a solid foundation for evaluating the state of Fiji's judiciary. The significance or the importance of this research is as follows. Firstly, it will safeguard democracies by promoting the rule of law and public confidence in the judiciary. In Fiji, it will, if necessary of course, provide evidence-based recommendations for law reform to strengthen judicial regulation. Globally, it will serve as a guide for those countries who want to assess and improve upon their judicial systems. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine finding yourself in a courtroom. Your innocence clear to you, but hanging in the balance. In that critical moment, would you be more confident knowing that the judiciary is both independent and accountable? When these elements are compromised, they create barriers to justice. My research attempts to break down any such potential barrier, just like the fall of the Berlin Wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Baadsha. Any questions to Baadsha?
Vinaka Baadsha, thank you for your presentation. I just had a question around legal plurality, or the plurality, plural legalities in the Fijian context. So given that you're talking about how judges make decisions, how does the plural systems within Fiji affect judicial decision making?
Essentially, I'll answer the first. Thank you for your question. I'll answer the first part of the question as well. So basically, judges all over the world, they make decisions based on law and evidence, and they are supported by a legal structure which is usually found within constitutions or legislative frameworks. My study here attempts to do a comparative study using international studies and practices of other countries to assess their compliance or in terms of international standards. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other quick questions?
So I'm wondering about the pathway to impact. So if your study is carried out and successful, so how would that impact the system? So what can it change going forward for judges that the study has identified or has indicated of not working as they expected?
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
So just to summarize, so I'm wondering about the pathway to impact. So how would you implement your studies in real life?
Thank you. So currently my study is doing a comparative study of the legislative framework. Depending on the outcome of the research, because I'm not going to speculate on the outcome of my research, if there are mechanisms available to strengthen judicial regulation in Fiji, then this would essentially or mostly involve law reform. And my research will, if necessary, of course, depending upon research outcome, provide evidence-based recommendations for law reform, which of course the policymakers will attempt to include in the laws of Fiji.
Thank you.